3-5 in geometry doing some more proofs. So we'll read the given, write the given, mark the given. They give me line M is parallel to line N, so that is given. Then I got to go mark it, so we'll mark it with the arrows, so those two lines are parallel. And here's what we're trying to prove. We're trying to prove that angle 6 is congruent to angle 4. And yes, those are alternate interior angles, but we don't know anything about them yet. So what we got to do to kind of prove that is just pick on one of these guys, right, out of the proof. So it doesn't matter which one. I'm going to pick on angle 6. So angle 6 is like for sure the same as angle 8, right, you know, because they're vertical angles. So I could say that angle 6 is congruent to angle 8 by the vertical angle theorem. That wasn't the only thing that 6 was the same as. 6 could be the same as 2 because those are corresponding angles and we have parallel lines. But since I wrote this, I'm going to mark it. Angle 6, the same as angle 8, so I put those arc marks in the picture. But see, I'm trying to get to 4, so I've traveled from 6 to 8. I'm trying to get to 4. Check these guys out. Aren't 8 and 4 corresponding angles? They're in the same position with respect to the transversal, and if we have parallel lines, we should be in good shape. So I could say angle 8 is congruent to angle 4 because I had parallel lines, and that implies that my corresponding angles are congruent to each other. So I can go mark that. So let's use a better marking. So boom. So it kind of looks like I've proven what I wanted, but I still haven't quite yet. I got to use the transitive property right there. So step 4, angle 6 is congruent to angle 4 by the transitive property of congruence. And good for us, we proved what we wanted to prove in this case. So if we continue on, here's the proof that we just kind of did right here. It says, in the proof above, what was given to us? Well, they gave me parallel lines. If I could spell it right, parallel lines. And what kind of angles did we prove something about? Well, we proved something about 6 and 4. Those are alternate interior angles, which we can abbreviate. And what did we prove about those two alternate interior angles? Right here, we proved that they were congruent to each other. So here's the cool thing, besides this popping up, is the fact that anytime from here on out, if they give us parallel lines, we know that alternate interior angles will be congruent. So, ta-da! Congratulations, we just proved our very first theorem. We know that if we have parallel lines, that will imply that alternate interior angles will be congruent as well. So parallel lines gives us a lot, man. They give us the corresponding angles congruent, and then they give us the alternate interior angles congruent. But there's a whole lot more. So without going through a bunch of proofs to kind of prove that, here's some other things that they tell us. It's like if they give me parallel lines, so I'm going to start with parallel lines, then that implies that consecutive interior angles are supplementary. Consecutive interior angles are supplementary. So that means that they would like add up to be 180 degrees. Sorry for that, keep popping up. If we're given corresponding angles congruent, so like now we just got to do the reverse of all of these. So if we are given corresponding angles congruent, that will imply that we have parallel lines. So like right here, if I had these two dudes with this blue transversal, and I had arrowheads on all of these, if I was given that this is 100 degrees and this is 100 degrees, that means that line M has to be parallel to line N, right? So they had to give me the corresponding angles congruent first. That'll prove that we have parallel lines. If they gave me alternate interior angles congruent, that implies we had parallel lines. So in this pic right here, if we didn't know this guy right there, but we did know this dude right here was 100 degrees, those are totally alternate interior angles, and they're congruent to each other, like they have to be the same. That proves that line M is parallel to line N. And then the last one is if we have consecutive interior angles supplementary, that's the weird one, they got to add up to be 180, that implies that I have parallel lines. So like if this one was 100 and this one was 80 degrees and I didn't know that one, those are consecutive interior angles. They add up to be 180. That proves that line M has to be parallel to line N. So let's try some problems here. We got to read the instructions because they give us some stuff, and we'll always go mark that. They gave me L is parallel to M, so I'll mark that. They say solve for X. Well, here's the magic question. Again, what kind of angles are these? These are corresponding angles. So since I have parallel lines, that means that those have to be the same, so I can set them equal to each other. And they say justify your answer. We'll do that right away. Why did I know that? I had parallel lines, and that implies that my corresponding angles will be, this time I'm going to use equals because that's the symbol we're using right here. Right? You use congruent when it's congruent, you use equals when it's equal. So then we'll just solve for x, right? So I'll subtract 5x over, and then I'll add 20 over, and that would be 15 equals x. We don't need to justify every bit of the algebra steps. We're just going to justify the very first step. Why did we set this equation up? Well, they gave me parallel lines, boom, and that proved that the corresponding angles had to be the same. So we'll do that again. They again give me parallel lines, so put the arrows on it. Check these guys out. What kind of angles are they? Well, they are alternates because they're on alternate sides of this blue transversal. One's on the left, one's on the right. Interior because they're between these two green lines right here, so they're alternate interior angles. They should be the same. So we'll set up our equation. We'll say 4x plus 20 equals 6x because they gave me parallel lines, and that implies that the alternate interior angles will be equal to each other. And then we'll just solve for x. So I'll subtract 4x over and then divide by 2. Bada boom. All right. So we'll try that one more time. They still gave me parallel lines. And I got to ask myself what kind of angles these are. Looks like they only gave me one, but they gave me two. They gave me this special box. Doesn't that mean that that dude right there is 90 degrees? So since they're alternate interior angles, parallel lines means that alternate interior angles have to be the same. So I'll say 3x plus 15 is going to be the same as 90 because parallel lines implies alternate interior angles equal to each other. And then I'll solve for x. So 90 minus 15 is 75. Divide by 3, and that'll give me 25. So we only did 3 examples here. Sometimes you might get some consecutive interior angles, right? So, man, I'm getting all the pop-ups this morning. Sometimes you might get some consecutive interior angles. So, like, if that was 9, like we didn't know that one, let's just say this one here was 85. You got to add this plus this together and set it equal to 180 because consecutive interior angles are supplementary. Then here, just some one-step proofs. We've been doing a lot of multiple-step proofs. We'll do one-step proofs because they just give me something, and then we can like go ahead and like make a conclusion right after it. So all we do is mark the given. They gave me L parallel to M. They are asking me to prove that angle 5, I like to show them. I'm not going to mark those congruent to angle 7. You only mark the given. So the question is, what kind of angles are they? And 5 and 7 are corresponding angles. So the justification is, since I have parallel lines given to me, I'm going to start with that, and that implies that the corresponding angles are congruent. Remember, we'll use the same symbol as that they were talking about. If it was equals, we use equals. If it's congruent, we use congruent. So this is kind of like going backwards. We're just doing a one-step proof because we've been doing multiple-step proofs for a while now. So let's do another one-step proof. Ooh, they gave me angle 2 congruent to angle 6. I go mark that. So arc mark, arc mark. They want me to prove that these lines are parallel. Well, still the magic question is, what kind of angles are these that they gave you, or that they talked about? And those are alternate interior angles, and they happen to be congruent also. So I'm going to start with alternate interior angles congruent, because that's what they gave me. And if I have that, don't we have a theorem that says that proves that the lines are parallel? So alternate interior angles congruent, boom, implies that I have parallel lines. Notice I'm only marking the given. You never mark the last step of what you're trying to prove. We'll learn why in chapter 5. So we'll try that again. They say angle 7 and angle 6 are supplementary. There's like no way to mark that. Like you just got to leave it, right? But you still got to go ask yourself, what kind of angles are those? Those are consecutive interior angles. And they told me they're supplementary. So I can start with consecutive interior angles, supplementary. Guess what that implies? We have parallel lines. So here they gave me parallel lines, so I'll go mark it. They want me to prove angle 3 the same as angle 7. If you need to highlight them, you can, but we're not going to mark them because that's not given to me. And angle 3 and angle 7 are alternate interior angles, so I got to use the one that starts with parallel lines because that's what they gave me. Parallel lines implies that alternate interior angles are congruent to each other. And then here, angle 1 is congruent to angle 2, so I mark the given. Those are corresponding angles. They're both to the right of this transversal, and they're above the lines. So if I switch colors here, that one's above the blue line, and the next one's above the red line. Right? They're in the same position with respect to the transversal, so I was given corresponding angles congruent. That implies that I will get parallel lines. Cool. So the last one of these bad boys, they gave me parallel lines. I will mark it. They want me to prove angle 2 and angle 3 supplementary. Well, those are consecutive interior angles, and I got to use the one that starts with parallel lines because that's what they gave me. So parallel lines imply that consecutive interior angles are supplementary, which we abbreviate SUPP. So why don't you give the homework a shot? Let us know if you have any questions. Have a good one.